So going into the close yesterday, we had a pretty big whale that went in and put a massive position on ZSCALER. It's an options bet, so we saw that they put in a large premium order about 5 minutes before the close. So what we're going to do is have a look at where the whale, or a couple of people maybe, more likely to be a whale, I think, where they're targeting. It's a pretty big position. It's a pretty big move. So we'll have a look at that, but also because it's options, options have a strike price where the buyer or seller think price will go to, and a time frame by when. So we'll look at those two things, and yeah, let's get into it because this could be a nice trade that's coming up. Okay, so let's just have a look at where on a swing pivot basis, using fibs, where price might go to just on using regular fibs from this swing, pivot high, pivot low. So long term, if this remains bullish, long term we could see price coming up to 453. So long term, it could be 3 months, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, right? We're not sure, but that is the swing position if price remains bullish. Obviously, a couple of issues, a couple of areas to contend with along the way, including this really big red candle here. Okay, so this on a weekly basis, we've hit the bottom side of that here, right? So we've come back and we've pulled back, come back to this level, and we've kind of like hit it and pulled back. So that is very, very notable. So this candle is definitely the one that we've got, or this, yeah, this red candle on a weekly. That's the one that price has to get over in order to reach that target long term. So we've hit it, we come back. Let's see what the pullback is on this fib. It is retracement. Is it bullish? Very 38. The 38% fib pullback. If it can hold this, then that's super bullish. Actually, it's kind of super bullish all the way down to, well, it can remain bullish even though it pulls back here. These are opportunities to get in. Will price come back further down there? Not sure, but this is definitely an area for a potential entry because you know your risk is, right? If it dips below that and it kind of struggles, you just want to get out and just sort of maybe see if this holds, do the same. So you may bleed, but this is a potentially a bullish setup. So if we look at the fib swing for this pivot, it should clear this area. Actually gets us right into the middle of it. I was wrong there. So it gets us right into the middle of it, which in itself is quite interesting. Let's see what happens if we kind of come back here. So coming back here kind of does get you to the top end of this. So anywhere between here and here as an entry is worth, for me, it's worth for my time looking at, because one of the reasons for using these kind of fib swings is this is what the algos do, right? So, you know, they're kind of like going backwards and forwards, trying to figure out key levels. So we can do that as well. So either here gets us into this kind of middle of this candle, which could be a target. So we could see price go up there, come back, and then kind of like, you know, build a base from which to go higher, or you know, pullbacks to these zones and these zones. So, and this one here, the 1618, clears this area. So that's all interesting. So actually was bullish before, but actually this is really interesting, especially if it can hold that position. So definitely interested in taking a position on this, a swing position. So let's have a look at the areas that the buyer, our big whale buyer, is interested in. And they think that price can get to 370, which is basically hitting the all-time highs of for this ticker. Hasn't been trading on the Nasdaq for very long actually. So Definitely got the potential to do a run up to there, and once you get to a situation where you've cleared this resistance area and you're looking at tapping these, then you could get a scenario where we've come back. We could go back further, right? But something like this now is kind of like very doable. So that's what we're going to watch out for. Obviously, if we kind of dip much further down, then you're going to get a slightly different profile, but you're still going to get this, kind of like this kind of movement going on. And if there's any sign that quarterly earnings are bullish, you could start to see it hasn't really done any gapping. We could see gaps forming, right? So that's really kind of like a really good setup for me. So I'm going to take, yeah, I think I'm going to follow this for a while, right? Look for a good entry. Still got a relatively watch and wait bias because of seasonality and seasonal weakness going into May. So not going to ape in, but this setup is really interesting. So by when are they looking for price to get up to 3.7 or 370? So their time frame for doing this is their expiration of their options is they've given themselves quite a bit of time. So they're looking really, this is another one that's looking at the first week of January 2026. Now that may seem like a really kind of long time away, but basically this buyer is actually looking for, from current levels, they're looking for price to, go up nearly 100%. So don't care who you are, 100% return on investment is potentially a good risk reward to consider. I'm going to consider it. And you never know, we might get some decent earnings that gets us up to this level before. So the buyer on yesterday, they bought, they spent 1.4 million 5 minutes into the close, which is a decent amount actually. So in terms of premiums, so that's a decent position. It's somebody who has a lot of money and a lot of conviction. So definitely something I'm going to be paying attention to for a swing position. The only criteria for me, or the only kind of consideration, is watching price here to see if it kind of pulls back into these potential kind of fib areas of interest, or whether price holds here. It could dip a little bit more and then go up. So that's all I'm really watching, because there is an argument to be made to just put a small position in and build over time. So sort of gradually add the position, which means that if it goes down, you're averaging down. If it goes up, you kind of, you're losing a bit of value, but you still got a big potential swing position coming up, potentially. No guarantees, but this is looking good. So we've had a couple of stocks now in the security field that have some interesting big bets being placed against them. All right, let's keep up with ZSCALER.